Now, if you watched our previous videos, you'll know that we not only use this product every week, this is the DI system. Not only do we use it virtually every week, but we highly recommend this product. And you can find this product on our associate website, rv-mods.com. But a lot of questions we get asked, a lot of people write to us and say, you know, I've had this unit, it's great, fantastic. When it comes to changing the resin, how do I actually go about changing the resin? Because this unit is not only full of resin, it's full of water, and it is really heavy. Now, the system that's half the size is also heavy, obviously half as heavy. It's not as heavy, but it's a damn good question. How do you get rid of the resin? How do you change it? So I've asked the manufacturer of this product, based in Tennessee, and I've asked them the question, is there an easier way of actually changing the resin? And they've come up with a super simple idea, and they assure me it works, and I'm going to try it in front of you and we'll see if it works or not. But the problem we've got is that we've had this resin in this tank for a year. We filled this up on video last April the 2nd or 3rd, I think it was, possibly the 4th. So this has been in here a year, and when we're here, which is about 5 to 6 months of the year, when we're here, I wash my coach every single week, sometimes twice a week, because I like it looking new. But before I show you how to, well, hopefully empty this system in a very easy way, I just want to show you that this has been in here a year and it's still reading 0, which means it's still 100% good. And just to prove that, I've got it hooked up to a faucet here. I'm just going to fill up a glass of water and then we'll do a TDS, do a test on the water. Just turn that off so I don't get absolutely soaked. So there's my glass of water that's just been run through the system. I've got my little TDS meter and I put it in the water. The reason you give it a little shake is to get any air bubbles off of the sensor. And as you can see, that still reads 0. So this resin really doesn't need to be changed at all, but I'm going to do this just so you can see if it works, how to empty your resin, and I may well put it back in because it's a waste otherwise. So you can see there 0, 0, 0, 0. That means there are no particles in the water that's coming out. TDS stands for total dissolved solids. And that's reading how many dissolved solids are in the water. And they're all the bits that when they dry, leave all your white spots. Well, we've got no, absolute zilch dissolved solids in our water. So that's as good as the day we put it in 12 months ago. If this starts reading 20, 30, you probably still won't leave any spots, but that's the time you should consider changing your resin. So the first thing we need to do is remove the hose pipes. Okay, and then we need to remove the head, and it's best to use these as a lever. So just to make my life easier, I'm just going to take, now I know it's loose, I'm just going to take the valve, the bypass valve assembly off, which are very easy. They're only hand tight. Right, so it just makes it easier to remove this head unit. So I'm just going to put these somewhere. Voila. Now what we're actually going to do is cut this tube. So you simply hold it and turn it and pull it very gradually, and it will just come out the top like so. And then just put that head unit back on just so you don't get any dirt in the tank. I'll now ask my very attractive assistant Julia to come and hold this while I cut it. Now, so what we're actually going to do is cut this tube at least, say an inch from where the filters are. And the reason I say an inch is because we're actually going to glue this little adapter, which you buy from any DIY store or from us. And we're going to glue that. That's got to be glued there. So basically, you want about 2 inches from the filter. So try and do a straight cut if you can. If you use the hacksaw, it'll be a lot easier. I'm actually using quite a coarse blade here. So we're going to glue this into there, so it's actually a detachable end piece. We've made our cut, so basically we have removed the micro filter. That's what stops the resin coming up the tube. So we've cut that away. Now, when we glue this in, it's actually going to make the tube about 1.5 inches longer. So what we need to do now is we just need to cut about 1 inch, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches off. Otherwise the tube will be too long. So now we're you see, I've got the hang of it now, this saw. As he takes off his finger. I was just about to say that. Okay, so we've cut off now. We've cut off the same distance as the distance that we've gained by adding this piece. Now, when you make any cut or any plastic gluing,
finish with me?
Yeah, you need to just make sure the ends are nice and clean. Now, again, I'm a bit of I would hardly say a perfectionist, apart from when it comes to wife. So I'm making sure that the ends are both sanded, and then I'm going to wipe them over with a little bit of acetone, because I like to do a job properly. That's why I could never get a job with Integra. I'm also going to quickly key the inside of the part that I'm going to glue on, again just to make sure there's a good key for the adhesion. Now, there's 2 parts to this. It doesn't really matter which part goes where, because all this, the sole function of this is to join and be able to detach the filter. So we've sanded all our components. We're now going to just use, I feel like one of those DIY TV programs, you know. Maybe I should be on national TV. So if CBS or NBC are watching, I am available. So what I'm doing now is just giving it a wipe over with acetone. You won't have to let this dry. It dries absolutely instantly. And make sure that's stored in a cool place. This is proper PVC cement. This is what all plumbers use. It's fairly instant drying. You just apply some to the surface. I always apply to both surfaces, but you don't actually need to. It's a little bit overkill. And then push on hard. If you can, stand it upright, because then you'll get a nice bead of adhesive. But if you can't, it doesn't matter. This glue will go off in about 10 seconds, so you haven't got to leave it overnight or anything else. And make sure you do glue the end you've cut and not the machined end, only because this is a better cut than you and I have made. So I'll leave that upright to dry, and then I'll do the next part. Right, so they are now done, and by the time I've put these bits of paper in the trash, these will be ready to use. So I'm just going to stand those upright to try and get a nice even surface on my adhesive. I shall now put away the glue and the acetone. So now this is what, 2-3 minutes later, and the glue has dried. So the object of the exercise is that under normal use, you put these two together. Now, you don't need any PTFE tape, any sort of sealant on these, just screw them together. And there's our pickup tube as it was before. And the object of the exercise is when we want to drain the resin, we simply remove the filter part, the part that stops the resin coming out. Now when we put water in, it goes through the resin, and normally this would stop the resin coming out, but as we've removed it, in theory the resin should now come out of our evacuation side. So that's the theory. So I'm going to put this back together and then I'll show you the next stage. So I'm all set up now, but without the micro filters. So in theory, when we put water into this, the resin should come out. But where is the resin going to go? Are we just going to let it go all over the floor? No, that would be pretty irresponsible. So we've come up with another very simple idea. And again, we don't know if this is going to work, but I'm being assured that it will. So we're going to give it a try. Hold on. There's a bucket with some water in, normal water. And here is a very cheap pillowcase. And I'm soaking the pillowcase in the water. Now the idea is I'm going to use the pillowcase as a filter to catch the resin. I may need Julia to help, because I think if one of us is going to get covered in resin, it needs to be Julia. I'm normally the one that gets covered. So we are now going to try this, and we're going to put it on really low water pressure because I just do not know what's going to happen. So this could be the comedy moment of all of our videos, and if she does get covered, I'm leaving it in the video. So Julia, my camera woman, would you like me to put a zip tie around it, or do you reckon you'll be able to hold it? It should.
Can I rest it on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, you should be fine. Right.
It's going to be heavy.
Well, no.
Right.
So just hold that. It's only going to.
Holding this as well.
Yeah, I'm going to help you. So I'm just going to put the water on really low pressure, because any water goes in, it's got to come out. Right. That's. You hold the pillowcase.
I'm holding the pillowcase.
Yeah, just
Ooh.
hold the pillowcase.
Okay.
So,
hey.
You can see I'm putting water in at a very, very low pressure, and the resin is just pouring out a bit like thick treacle. In fact, it's quite amazing. I'll put it on here so you can see. I mean, what a great idea. And I'm actually going to probably put this resin back in after I've done this demonstration. When this water runs clear, in theory, there's a lot of theories. In fact, I can actually see the resin level going down. I don't think there's any need to increase the pressure, because all I'm going to do is make life difficult, especially if Julia drops the pillowcase.
I believe it's coming out that quickly.
I mean, that is just amazing. Yeah. And we're basically left here with, we'll show you afterwards, just a...
Drop the front one.
What? You can't see it on camera. We're just basically left with a big bag of resin. So I've now increased the pressure just to see if it made any difference, and it's working like a dream. In fact, I don't know if you can see on camera, but this is literally just going down like an elevator. Now, the reason I made the pillowcase wet is to make the pillowcase so it will allow the water content in the resin to come out.
If I can just hold that and you lift the bag, you can see the water coming out. Can you see the water coming out?
Yeah, you see the bag is just the bag is the pillowcase is just acting like a big like a tea bag, like a coffee filter. Right, now you can see it's running clear. I'm just going to turn that off. Can you
Still
just?
some in there,
Yeah, I
though.
know, but I'm just going to. So, what we're left here is 1 cubic foot of resin, perfectly intact. And the great thing is, if I wanted to, I could probably store this dry. I could just leave it to drain. Let's have a look inside the tank and see how much it's actually taken out. That is basically a tank full of clear water. This is a fantastic way of draining your resin. You may want to try, instead of chopping off the extra inch that I did, you may want to try and see if that tube isn't too long, because if it isn't too long, you may get a bit more resin out. But we've got about 1.5 inches left in the bottom, which the tube couldn't pick up, which I could just tip out manually. So it's a very, very easy way. And then all you do to use it again, put your filter end back on, and then it's back to being the DI system. So there you have it. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. We always try and make videos interesting. We try and add a little bit of humor, and more importantly, we try and make them make videos which are really useful information for the everyday RVer. There's more information that can be found on our website, which is www.great-escape.us. We're also on Facebook, and we're also on Instagram, and I'll put the links down at the bottom. If you like any of the products we featured and you feel like you want to purchase one, then we have an associate website which is called rv-mods, mods.com. That's rv-mods.com, and you can buy any of the products we featured on that site. Thanks again.